Okay, up until this point we've talked about the tool panel, or palette as I'll mistakenly call it from time to time. We've talked about other panels. We've talked about commonality among panels, some common shortcuts as well. Tab, of course you can't be typing text at the time. If you press Tab, hides the panels. Shift Tab hides panels except for toolbar. We use the space bar to get the grabber hand. Command space, I'm sorry, for the zoom tool. Now I'm clicking. Command Option space, zoom out. And finally Command will bring up the last selection arrow you've used. What's left? We've done all this stuff. Well, like many other applications, the rest is in the other menu items. But it's pretty straightforward. I'm not going to go through and do this exhaustively. I think Adobe's done a great job breaking this out. So let's say you're stuck. The point of this movie, and hopefully it won't last very long, is just what's a strategy if you're not sure where should you look. Adobe makes it pretty straightforward. First of all, we've gone over all the panels. If you saw a panel before and you need to find it, go under the Window menu. Help menu. Boy, Illustrator has a great little resource. In fact, all the Adobe applications do. It's their help system, and if you bring that up, it'll open up like a web page. And it's opening in my second monitor here. Let me move this over. And you can see here that the only problem about this is that it's loading the help from online, which is great. I mean, you can have that updated constantly, but there is kind of a performance penalty that you pay rather than having it on your computer. But it's a lot different than the old days where, geez, you're fiddling around with a reference manual. So anyway, the help menu I think is pretty straightforward. If you're ever looking for a command, if I type in undo, I can go under here and it'll actually highlight that for you. Now, it might be slightly different in Windows, but I think it's pretty much the same. You've got a help system either way. Speaking of differences between Macs and PCs, the Illustrator menu on the Mac is not available on PC. So the big thing that you're going to notice, if you want to find preferences on the PC, you're going to find them under the Edit menu. On the Mac, they're going to show up under the Illustrator menu. Okay, File, it's very much like other applications, right? You have New and Open. We've got some stuff about CS5 specifically, sharing your screen. That's kind of cool. Closing, saving, needing to place artwork, exporting files, and then being able to print. Straightforward file operations, no curveballs there. Edit menu, kind of the same thing. You have multiple levels of undo. They're all here. Notice one weird thing about Adobe Illustrator. I've never figured it out. They don't have a history menu like Photoshop. They do all this stuff to make it seem like Photoshop, but for some reason they've never built a history panel. So you just have to do the multiple undos. Cut, copy, paste, all that kind of stuff. One thing that's powerful about Illustrator is paste in front, paste in back, paste in place. Those are all important. So let me give you an example. If it's so important, I should show you why. Actually, this document's getting pretty messy. All right. I'll switch this around, and I'll make another shape, and let's fill it. Okay. And then let's have just a few more shapes. As I'm drawing them in Illustrator, you'll notice that there's a stacking order. The newest items are on top. Well, let's say you wanted to move this item. Well, first of all, if I just press Command X or Control X on the PC and press Command V or Control V, it pastes it right in the middle of the artboard. So that's the first thing to know about Adobe. When you're pasting stuff, it's going to by default paste right in the middle of your view. So instead, if I want to cut it and I just want to paste it, but let's say this time I want it to be behind this green little guy, go under Edit and just choose Paste in Back, and it pops in behind that shape. Now you could also go under Object, Arrange, Send Backward, and do that multiple times. But maybe you want to go all the way behind this guy, so cut it out, choose Edit, Paste in Back. Notice it's just Command B. Well, it still doesn't seem like it's moved, but in layer order it has. Notice it's now behind that shape, but in front of this shape. Whereas if I had to do send backward, I'd have to do that command multiple times to get to go where you want. So anyway, the edit menus for all this kind of cool pasting stuff. Paste in place is if you want to move it to a different layer, but you want it to paste in the same location as it was before. So that's Command Shift V here. It's kind of neat. You can paste on all artboards too. Find, replace, spelling, kind of the standard fare for the edit menu. Then there's presets that you can set up and color settings, and you can even modify keyboard shortcuts there. The object menu. This is by far and away the menu to go to if you're lost in Adobe Illustrator and you're just not sure, where to go. So if I go under Object, the lion's share of menus or commands are going to be in here. Gee, I need to find out about path information. Here's how I'm going to do that. Grouping, arranging, transforming, all of that stuff is going to be under Object. By the way, if I right-click on this or control-click on it on a Mac with a single button mouse, a lot of that stuff shows up here. So notice this is kind of our Object menu. Though these are some items here too, I think. Now I'm getting lost. Yeah, group is there too. So they're just making a separation between these guys. But in any case, if I want to do object level stuff, I can right click on the object, or I can choose the object menu. But boy, some of these submenus are kind of big. If we go under path, there's some really important things under path in terms of how to connect objects together. Expanding is cool too, so we'll talk about that stuff. But essentially, when in doubt, go under the object menu, see if it's there. If it's not there, check under the edit menu. That'd be my strategy. Type menu, everything related with text you're going to find here. Select menu, they kind of came up with the select menu to make Illustrator similar to Photoshop, and in some cases it's important. It's not critical though. It's kind of neat though. You can select the next object above or below. You can select same. Let's say choose stroke color. All these guys have a white stroke, so it's going to choose all of them. So that's kind of nice. Select menu has some things in here, but I always just remember Command A. Select all. Effects are if you're applying stylizations, those kind of things. If we're going to come in and use the dreaded drop shadow, that would be under the effect menu. By the way, the drop shadow, it should be illegal and I think it might be in 5 or 6 states. It's terrible design. You use drop shadow and you're just saying all I know is how to use filters in Illustrator. So well, that's not true completely, but it really is. It gets overdone. View menu, everything related with how the thing is being presented on your screen. And first big one is outline. Outline preview. Remember, it shows you right in the title bar. All these other previews, I've seen students accidentally choose these. So pixel preview lets you see what it's going to look like if it's converted to the web. to me, that just doesn't have a lot of help to it. I just go under Save Web and Devices, and I get to see what it's going to look like immediately. I don't know. I'm sorry. Just kind of old-fashioned. Hide edges. Boy, that's one that you want to be careful of. Especially if you're using a Mac, you know that Command H typically hides applications. Well, in Illustrator, Command Option H hides Illustrator. So you're working along and you go, oh, I want to hide Illustrator, Command H. Well, what it does is it ends up hiding the edges of the shape. So if I come back and let's say I've selected something, notice there it was. I selected it, should have been selected. At least they do a little bit better job of giving you an update here that your application hasn't frozen. A lot of people, when they see this, when they accidentally get into it, they think that Illustrator's frozen because they're not getting any of the Bezier handles. It's just Command H. Press Command H, it all comes back. See, there's our Bezier handles. So yeah, View menu, check under there for that stuff. Guides show up in View. Notice the perspective grid, that's all showing up in the View menu too. Great command for guides is Command semicolon. Hides and shows guides. That's a good one to remember. As I mentioned before, window menus for all your panels, and I think that's it. If you, when in doubt, check your object menu and then go to the edit menu. Hope this movie gave you a little bit of an idea of where stuff is in Illustrator. It's predominantly in the panels, but you will from time to time use menus too.